Throw away your textbooks. Burn the manual. The world actually changed on Tuesday.
Oh, here we go.
No, seriously.
Yeah.
Tuesday, November 18th, 2025.
Right.
The day Google dropped Gemini 3 Pro. The timeline, like, completely accelerated. We are there.
Okay, breathe. Just take a breath. Did the robots finally take over? Is it Terminator time? Because I've heard this true agentic era speech about 5 times now.
Deploy all the cynicism you want. I am ready. It's not about robots taking over. It's actually better.
Better than the apocalypse. Bold claim.
It's a bigger breakthrough. The core of it, the real game changer, is so simple it sounds stupid.
Go on.
The model finally learned how to pause and think.
Okay. The pause is the power. If they actually crack that, I'll concede it changes things.
It changes everything. And that's what we're here for. Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, our mission is to break down this Gemini 3 Pro launch. We're going to focus on how this whole vibe coding thing and its thinking mode are about to redefine, well, basically everything for developers and, frankly, for anyone who just wants to get stuff done.
Fine. Let's start with the name everyone is justifiably roasting. Vibe coding.
I know. The marketing department went a little too hard on that one.
A little. It sounds like something a Gen Z influencer does at Coachella. What is it beyond an insult to anyone who's ever stayed up until 3 a.m. debugging code?
Okay, look, ignore the terrible name because the actual capability it's immense. Vibe coding is basically where natural language becomes the only syntax you need.
I've heard that promise before.
But this is real now. We are talking about taking a high-level creative vision, like a sketch on a napkin, or a prompt that just describes the feeling of an app.
That's the vibe.
The vibe. And the model turns it into a fully interactive, production-ready application. It does all the boring multi-step planning for you.
So I can just say, make me a website that feels like a 1980s cyberpunk movie, and the robot just builds the whole thing.
Exactly. Here's my analogy. Old coding was like needing to know how to build a car engine from scratch just to drive to the store. You had to know everything, the transmission, the oil, all of it.
Right. Tedious. Painful.
Vibe coding is just getting in the Uber. And the Uber, in this case, is this new platform called Google Antigravity.
Antigravity. Okay, that's a delightfully aggressive name. I'll give them that.
You just get in the Uber, you say your destination, take me to tacos, and the agent handles everything. The driving, the navigation, all the messy steps. The tacos is just your creative idea.
And building it on a fork of VS Code is smart. So developers don't have to learn a whole new interface. The familiarity is there.
That's the key. In anti-gravity, you're not a mechanic anymore. You're more like a conductor. You're in this mission control, directing multiple agents at once across your editor, the terminal, whatever.
Okay, but let's talk about the ceiling here. A simple blog, fine. But what about real professional level stuff? Heavy graphics, serious compute.
This is where it gets insane. Forget a blog. They did a proof of concept that it blew me away.
Lay it on me.
A single prompt to generate one single ready-to-deploy HTML file.
Okay.
For a photorealistic 3D voxel simulation of the Golden Gate Bridge.
Wait, what? That needs deep, low-level knowledge. You're talking GLSL shaders for the waves, lighting controls.
And instance mesh traffic. It knew how to efficiently render hundreds of cars without crashing the browser.
No way.
Yes. The whole thing. Animated flocking birds, up to 400 cars, all from one natural language command. An experienced dev would need a full day just to set up the scaffolding for that.
That kind of orchestration, that's not just stitching code together. That's real, systematic project planning. I'll admit, that's impressive. But that's a new project, a shiny new bridge. What about my horrible, messy, real-world code? Can it vibe with technical debt?
It can, and that's the perfect transition. Because the agent that can build a bridge is the same one that can help the rest of us.
Good. So beyond the coders, can I finally achieve my ultimate goal? Can I be lazier?
Yes, but I'm going to reframe that. You can be strategically lazy.
Strategically lazy. I like the sound of that. Define it.
It's this whole agentic AI paradigm, right? It's about combining AI smarts with access to tools so they can take actions for you. We're moving from telling the computer what to say to telling it what to do.
Okay, give me an example that removes actual pain from my life.
Apartment hunting.
Ugh.
The worst.
You're in Austin, you and 2 roommates, you need a place for under, say, $3,600. It needs a washer and dryer, and I don't know, it has to allow 3 cats and not be haunted.
That is literally my life. Hours scrolling Zillow, clicking filters, getting distracted.
Yeah.
It's a nightmare.
So you just give that whole complex mess to the agent in the Gemini app. It uses this thing, Project Mariner, to literally go operate the browser for you, clicks the filters on Zillow, it checks for laundromats nearby if it has to, and then
And then what? It just gives me a list.
it can schedule the tour for you in
Nope.
your calendar.
It schedules the tour. So it's not just finding info, it's doing
Yeah.
it's doing stuff in the real world. It's
Right.
actually a massive time saver. And now it can handle 10 tasks at once. That's outsourcing your personal admin. And developers are seeing the same thing with the command line tool, the Gemini CLI.
So I can finally stop memorizing weird shell commands?
Totally. Think about git bisect.
Oh, God. The worst. You always forget a flag or a step.
Now you just say, hey, run a git bisect to find the commit where the dark mode broke. And it just does it. Or even better, debugging a performance issue across like 5 different services.
Okay, now that's a real problem. Checking logs in Cloud Run, running a SNCC scan. You've got 10 windows open. It's chaos.
Gemini can orchestrate that whole investigation. It connects to the services, runs the scans, finds the root cause, suggests a fix, and can even deploy it for you, all from one command. It's that multi-tool orchestration that makes this whole thing real.
That's undeniably powerful, but this is where old AI would just fall apart. It was too fast, too confident, and usually wrong on stuff that complex.
Exactly. And that brings us to the secret sauce, the real architectural breakthrough, the thinking mode.
Right. Tell me about this guy at the party.
Okay, so old AI was that guy at a party who answers before you even finish your question. Super confident, but wrong half the time.
I know that guy.
Gemini 3 is the person who strokes their chin, says, and then comes back a minute later with the perfect, well-thought-out answer. That internal pause, that deliberation, is now a mandatory step.
So it actually gauges the complexity and adjusts its reasoning effort.
Yep. And you can even control it with a thinking level parameter. Low for quick stuff, high for serious coding or complex logic. For pro, you literally can't turn thinking off. It's the default state.
And the payoff is just reliability, fewer hallucinations, fewer dumb mistakes. That builds trust.
100%. And it's not a black box, which is key. They added thought summaries. So if you get a weird answer, you can click Review Reasoning and see its entire step-by-step logical process. You can debug the agent's thinking, not just its code.
That's essential for any real enterprise adoption. Okay, what about memory? For these long, complex tasks, they need a ton of context.
They delivered 1 million tokens of context.
A million.
A million. Perfect for huge, long-running tasks. Think legal document reviews, corporate strategy planning.
A million tokens is like having a coworker who remembers every single word said in every meeting for the last 5 years.
Yeah.
That is both cool and slightly terrifying, but that's got to be insanely expensive to run, right? Reprocessing that massive context every time you ask a question would cost a fortune.
And that is the final piece of the puzzle, the economic breakthrough that makes this whole thing actually work. It's called context caching.
Okay.
Without it, you're right, reprocessing a million tokens might cost, say, $4 every single time you query it. That would bankrupt any long-running agent.
Immediately.
But with context caching, you pay a tiny hourly storage fee, about $4.50 per million tokens per hour. You pay for the memory to sit there, not for reprocessing it over and over. They made long-term agentic work affordable.
So the intelligence is there, the ability to act is there, and now the economics actually make sense for continuous real-world use.
Exactly. We've reached the Uber software point. The barrier to entry isn't skill or budget anymore. It's just, do you have a good idea?
Okay, fine. You win. The hype is mostly justified. The capability jump is real, especially with the caching. Google's playing the long game here. It's not just about the strongest model, it's about the best price and the biggest scale. 1.5 billion users on AI overviews. You can't argue with that.
It's the engine for the world's AI.
There's a catch. For you, the listener, before you run off to vibe code a pizza delivery app, Antigravity can write perfect code, but it's still running on your data.
Meaning the agent can build a flawless inventory system, but if your inventory list is just a mess of old spreadsheets, the whole thing is useless.
Precisely. The AI is the brilliant architect, but your custom high-fidelity data is the blueprint. The agent can't know your customer records, your internal processes. The final product is only as good as the data you give it.
Which leaves the big question for everyone to think about. With all this new power, what's the most important proprietary piece of data you have that you would actually trust an agent to use to get a job done? Because that data, that's the real moat now.